This cocktail has been blowing up online. Leandro made it with cognac and rye. The high-proof preacher made it with tequila. And Steve the bartender found the original recipe. It begs the question, why are they already calling it the cocktail of 2026? And it got me thinking, why is it so popular? Are there other variations that you should miss? I'll make 4 variations of the Carajillo, including one without its key ingredient. Not to fix it, but to break it down, so one just know the flavors, but understand why they work. I'll build it back up cocktail time style. Are you ready to be a part of the Carajillo trend? All you need to do is...
It's cocktail time.
Before we had a trend, we had this. The Carajillo. This is a shaken version, which I'll show you in a minute. At its core, the Carajillo is incredibly simple, just 2 ingredients, and it's been around way longer than social media trends. One origin story takes us to 19th century Spain, where workers combined their 2 morning drinks, coffee and alcohol, because they were in a rush. Another places it in Cuba, where soldiers or plantation workers mixed rum and coffee for a bit of courage, or coraje. You could think of it as a Spanish cousin of Irish coffee, or what Italians call café corretto. Originally, it was made with brandy or rum, but the version that really took over, especially in Mexico, is espresso with Licor 43. This Spanish liqueur is sweet, vanilla forward and slightly citrusy. That balance with coffee is what makes the Carajillo work so well, and it's also what makes it so adaptable. So it was really only a matter of time before someone took that flavor profile and turned it into an old-fashioned. Leandro said it best.
How did I not invent this?
The Carajillo Old Fashioned was invented by Sean O'Connor Comby in San Diego back in 2022. It later appeared in the Madrusan Cocktail Companion, but it was slightly simplified. That's also the version made by the educated barfly. Licor 43, coffee liqueur, cognac, and rye. Super simple. A few months before that, even before the book was published, Jordan Hughes, aka the High-Proof Preacher, shared his own Carajillo Old Fashioned riff with tequila reposado, Licor 43, coffee liqueur, orange, and cacao bitters. The version that really took off was from the printed recipe made by Leandro. It got picked up by more or less every cocktail creator out there. Some made it the same, some changed the spirits, or added bitters. The cocktail was easy to replicate, but flexible enough to make it their own. And that's what turned a classic coffee drink into a full-blown cocktail trend. I'll break it apart and build it back up for a cocktail time Carajillo Old Fashioned. Before we do that, let's start with the original. There are 2 ways to order a modern Carajillo. You can ask for it to be made puesto, and you'll get a layered drink of liqueur and coffee over ice. But the more popular version is the sacchiato. You'll need the same ingredients for both, fresh espresso and Licor 43 in equal parts. I'm also adding 2 drops of saline solution to boost the flavors. Then add plenty of ice and shake hard. This will build a nice foam and bring everything together. Double strain over fresh ice in a chilled rocks glass. In a way, this is almost a simplified espresso martini. Just 2 ingredients. Cheers! Let's try the shaken Carajillo. Cheers. As I expected, quite heavy on coffee. It's like adding coffee, a bit of a muscles with the liqueur. Nicely sweet, rounded drink, frothy, creamy.
How does it compare to the espresso martini?
For sure, this would benefit having a little bit of a spirit. I would add tequila blanco in it, so that would compare better to espresso martini than just the way these 2 shaken liquids come in together here. It's not bad, but I wouldn't order it too often. It really does make you wonder how it took this long for the Carajillo to end up in an old-fashioned template. I'll be making the simplified version found in the Madrusan Cocktail Companion. Many people pointed out it's missing bitters. Steve the bartender reached out to the creator of the recipe and found out the original did actually add Angostura bitters. So we'll start with the version that went viral, and if it needs bitters, we'll add them in the glass. Start with a chilled mixing glass. First, the spirits. Equal parts of cognac and rye whiskey. Both are higher ABV, like in the original recipe. Next, Licor 43, just like in the classic Carajillo. Lastly, the coffee liqueur. O'Connor actually used a house-made coffee-infused Amaro blend, but maybe changing that to the simple coffee liqueur is what helped it go viral. Stir until properly chilled and diluted. Again, the original recipe adds coffee beans for the regal stir and more coffee notes. Then strain over the big clear ice block. The 3 coffee beans as garnish is basically a standard by now. I feel like I'm the last person on the internet to give this a try, but let's do it. Okay, let's try the Carajillo Old Fashioned viral version. On the nose, cognac is coming out through the most. Quite on the sweet side, so for sure I would add some bitters to it. Other than that, it's rich, a bit citrusy, of course coffee notes coming through as well, right, giving it a bit of sharpness or spiciness. Quite well rounded, but let's try to add some Angostura bitters to see how it changes. I think the regal stir with coffee beans will benefit this cocktail as well. Okay, now we have a bit more spiciness even more than before. So cognac is not coming through as much as it did before. Even though I added just one dash, Angostura makes it a bit more balanced in a way, not just the bitterness coming with from the coffee liqueur. My choice of bitters would be different. I would add either cacao or orange, but aromatic one makes it more balanced. I would also add a little bit more coffee notes in it, since the original Carajillo is espresso and Licor 43. When you think about it, the transition from Carajillo to Carajillo Old Fashioned made a lot of sense. But when I saw the recipe, I quickly thought, would it work as a highball too? Before you find out, I want to share my new favorite way of smoking a cocktail, and it's without the hassle of using a smoker. It can even replace a float of peated scotch. So let's use the penicillin for an example. That smoky character is the backbone of what makes it one of the best sour cocktails out there. Now you can add smoke to any cocktail thanks to Yggdrasil Ash, a cocktail perfume from 𝗏𝗲𝘄𝗀𝗏. Just 1 or 2 sprays is enough to add notes of pine wood, pink pepper, barbecue and smoke to every sip of your drink. These perfumes are made for bars and cocktail enthusiasts. Each bottle can transform up to 500 cocktails. Skip the hassle and grab a bottle of Yggdrasil Ash cocktail perfume on 𝗏𝗲𝘄𝗏𝗏. Use my discount code KEVIN10 for 10% off and give your cocktails character. Cheers! For the Carajillo Highball, I tried a few different recipes, until landing on this one, which I think is a real winner. Start with a well-chilled highball glass that's rimmed with salt. For the base, it's equal parts of Licor 43 and Reposado tequila. This brings the same barrel-aged warmth as cognac, and it pulls the drink back to Mexico, where the Carajillo really took off. Make sure your soda water is as cold as possible and top up the cocktail. Give it a gentle stir, then pour in a shot of espresso. Lastly, add an orange wedge for garnish. The Carajillo Highball. Let's try the Carajillo Highball. Love the smell already. That's good. The coffee is there, the Licor 43 is there, tequila combines it all together perfectly. In general, I love highballs, so this is right down my alley. And trying it from the salt side makes it even better. Guys, you have to try it.
So will this become a modern classic?
Well, it's hard to say. I wouldn't mind if this becomes a modern classic. So simple, so delicious. I'm proud that I can say I thought of it first. At least I think I did. But more importantly, it proves that these flavors work across completely different formats. So let's take it a step further. At this point, we know these building blocks work: coffee, vanilla, texture. And it works across different formats. So for my version, I'm taking those proven blocks, pairing them with ingredients and flavors that naturally belong with them, and stacking everything together in a new way. Not reinventing the wheel, just creating a new way of enjoying the ride. It's time for a cocktail time Carajillo, the Carajillo Tiempo. To do that, I need to make a few DIY ingredients. First up, vanilla tincture. I showed the easiest way to do this in the flavored syrups episode, but this time I'm making the vanilla tincture the fast way. using the sous vide technique. In a bag, add a vanilla bean that's split lengthwise, with the seeds scraped out for maximum extraction. For that, we need a higher ABV neutral spirit, ideally something above 100 proof or 50% ABV. Vacuum seal and place that in a bath for 60 degrees Celsius or 140 degrees Fahrenheit. The tincture will be ready in 3 hours instead of 2 weeks, like it would be if you did this in a sealed jar at room temperature. Once it's cooled, strain through a coffee filter, and that's ready for the cocktail or your next batch of vanilla syrup. Next, Cacao Cognac, almost like making your milky cacao. I'm simply taking cognac and stirring in some high quality cacao. This is the simplest way of getting deep cacao notes into any spirit. You can use a magnetic stirrer or do this by hand. Stir this for 10 minutes, then strain it through a coffee filter until the liquid runs completely clear. Simple, bottle, and that's it. For sweetness, I'll be using a syrup made with floral honey. If you want to make sure your syrups always have the right amount of sweetness, check out the syrups calculators on kevincost.com. And lastly, the coffee foam. Start with a stronger than usual pour-over brew. I want the flavor of coffee to shine in the foam, even as you drink the cocktail through it. Once the coffee has dripped through and fully chilled, I'll combine it with simple syrup, egg white, a wonderful foaming solution that mimics egg white, and a dash of saline solution. Blend this mixture in a blender or with a stick blender. Then pour it into an easy siphon and charge it with a nitrous oxide cartridge. Give it a good shake and place it in the fridge. With that chilled, it's time to make the Carajillo Tiempo. Again, start with a chilled mixing glass. Add honey syrup and vanilla tincture. That gives us sweetness and vanilla flavor without relying on Licor 43. Orange bitters add some citrus notes and balance the sweetness with bitterness. Now the spirits, Cacao Cognac and rye whiskey. And lastly, as always, 2 drops of saline. Add plenty of ice and stir until it's well chilled and diluted. Stir over a clear ice cube before adding the final touch, coffee foam for aroma, flavor, and texture. Carajillo cocktail time style. Cheers! Let's try the Carajillo Tiempo. As expected, coffee comes first. With a nice texture, foam, and all this vanilla, cacao, orange notes coming through the foam. Florality of honey, a little bit of spiciness. There's still some kick from alcohol, from rye and cognac, but it's well-rounded. Easy to drink, a bit complex to make, but I think it's worth it.
You get better flavors of coffee and everything than in the Carajillo Old Fashioned?
Absolutely, because that's what I was missing before. In Carajillo Old Fashioned there was not enough coffee flavor, and since Carajillo, the base was coffee and Licor 43, I think it should have all these coffee notes, right? So yeah, I prefer it with a bit more coffee. For something to become a trend, it needs to start with a good idea. But a good idea on its own isn't enough. It also has to be presented in a way people connect and engage with it. And ideally, it needs a bit of a wow factor. That's how things like Super Juice, the Parmesan Espresso Martini, the Batanga, and now the Carajillo take off. I often get asked, what will be the next trend? That depends on you. You're the key. So if you want the Carajillo Highball to join the Carajillo trend, all you need to do is make it, enjoy it, and share it. Until next time, cheers, friends of cocktails.